what needs to be done that people like you, for example, would remain in Africa and don't go away?
Well, even though I live in New York, I'm heavily engaged in the continent. Many of the people I work with or I've mentioned in passing live on the continent. I think it's less a case of where you are, it's how you can contribute efficiently and effectively. There are people who, yes, if they prefer to remain in Ghana or Cameroon or Malawi, it's their choice. I'm not for 1 minute going to advocate that people stay in one place or the other. What I will advocate that if you have a belief in this part of the world, whether you're African or not, look at what little role you can play, what small step you can be the part of, that we could lead to what we think will be a re-emergence of economies and societies that were once very viable and to a large degree still are. It's just that their viability is not being brought to fruition as we think it could, and build upon that.
So you've been director of TED Africa. It's 2 years ago now. Can you see any kind of impact this continent has had on the community, on the culture here?
Yeah, I directed TED Global in 2007, and we assembled a leading number of thinkers and doers that came together in many ways for the first time to discuss, talk about, and expand and bring to the attention of not just an African audience but a worldwide audience the types of initiatives that most people didn't know about. I think one of the biggest benefits of having that conference was to have Africans themselves recognize the fact that there were others like them who were working in these areas that might be completely apart from their own areas of specialization. And to know that in itself was very important, because there is almost a intangible benefit from having the knowledge that there is a community that exists out there that shares the same aims and objectives. And some of the most exciting developments since TED Africa have come from that cross-pollination. The companies have been formed, initiatives have been launched, they are unfolding even as we speak, and it provided in many ways the foundation for a community of innovators and inventors and thinkers that was cross-disciplinary. It wasn't just the engineers talking to the engineers or the historians talking to the historians. It was the fact that the poet found a commonality with the financier, or vice versa. And that fundamental, critical aspect, I think, was the biggest benefit, because on a continuous basis, we now see projects that unfold in some cases as a direct result of relationships that were established in TED Africa, but also in the sense of those who might have already been working on projects coming to realize that there are people they can tap into. And in many ways, that community has fostered a group that has gone forth to recognize the power of numbers, and in many ways try to replicate or propagate the importance of events like that, even if they have nothing to do with TED.
So coming back to Faire, what would you say is the core value of this whole thing? I mean, Faire is the end of a 5-week project, so yeah.
Well, the 5-week project is MIT's IDDS event. And when we were pondering the idea of Faire, it was brought to our attention by one of the organizers, Lars Hasselblad Torres, that MIT was having an IDDS event in the summer, and we felt that it would be a nice complementary goal for us to work with IDDS. One, to display what had come out of their product, and add to that what we were thinking of doing with makers who were indigenous not just to Ghana, but some of the neighboring countries.
Okay.
So the goal of Maker Faire is to celebrate makers, celebrate those who make, who produce, who fabricate, and basically say that these people are critical to the society, they're critical to the economy, they are as important to poverty reduction and wealth creation as anyone and everyone else. That if you look at societies that are developed, that the wealth creation did come from those who made things, and they should be full center and right at the middle of the conversation when it comes to development.
So my last question would be, if you do have 3 wishes free for Africa,
Yes.
what would they be?
Well, one of them would be that we have maker fairs in every African country, big ones, small ones, that the culture, the ethos of making becomes imbued and it permeates our thinking when we think about how we take things forward. That's my first wish. The second is that we find a way to critically change our educational systems to absorb and value the importance of critical thinking and production, and celebrate the fact that to make things, to produce things, to think through things is really at the core of what makes a society successful. Third wish, I think if the first 2 are viable and succeed, then we'll have the emergence of a vibrant middle class that by its mere existence will lead to substantial corrective political processes that will round off the rest of society, and hopefully, see that in my lifetime. So those are my 3 wishes.